We here at Merry Married Meeples really like deck building games. It's probably the bride's favorite game mechanic. So that meant that Scrapbots was a game that we were very intrigued to take a look at. Take a look at it, we did indeed. Let me show you how it plays briefly, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Alright, here is a quick how to play for Scrapbots. First thing I will say is this is a prototype copy, so all the art is not final and there may be some changes or different components here and there. But this is the setup. You are going to have your Scrapbots in one row, deck shuffled, your gadgets in a separate row, shuffled. These are your malfunction cards. Each person starts with a deck of 8 starter cards. You are going to draw till you have 4 in your hand. You start with 2 scrap and 0 energy. You have a player A with the turn phases and any keywords and symbols on the back, like so. So it is up to you how you want to set up the table. You can always put the market off to the side because you are eventually going to have up to 4 Scrapbots in front of you in lanes opposing your rival. We've set it up this way because then that way each card is considered a lane and you can just run it that way. Or you could play right up against each other. It is up to you and your table space. So what you're going to first do is you're going to do a build phase. You're going to look at your hand and you're going to see if there's anything you want to build. Your Scrapbots go in the front row. They cost nothing to put out. And then you can choose to put a gadget on them. A Scrapbot can only have one gadget. And when you put on the gadget, you're going to put it beneath it like such in that row. One thing about gadgets and robots, or Scrapbots, you'll notice up here they have different colors. If you have a gadget that matches the same color, it'll have a little box up here. So in this instance, when attached to a purple bot, which it is, your rival must discard a card. So that is, there's a different one for each different color for red, green, blue, yellow, and purple. The other thing with building is if you can only have up to 4 Scrapbots. However, if you have a Scrapbot that is a higher rank, you can just replace that Scrapbot and that goes to your discard pile. Same thing with gadgets is if you have a gadget that is a higher rank, you can just replace one of your gadgets. So that is the build phase. You build Scrapbots and attach gadgets. Then you go to your main phase. You can activate anything that says an ability on it. All these are triggers, but there will be certain cards that say activate on it. This is when you'd be able to do those. You can convert to gain energy. Each card has this little convert over here. All of your starters you can convert for 1. However, if you look at this Zeal set, if you convert that, it's 3 energy, and this Hack kit is 2 energy. But you can discard cards to gain energy, and you just track that on your card like so. You then are going to use that energy, if you so choose, to power Scrapbot attacks. If you look at this bottom, there's a certain amount of energy, and then a little bullet-looking thing, so you can spend 3 energy to do 1 damage in the lane that you are facing. I will say first player is not allowed to attack on their first turn. Some of these do different ones. You see this one is 5 energy to do 4 damage, 3 for 2, 3 for 2. So you're going to attack. If there is a Scrapbot in that lane, then they will take the amount of damage here, and you'll put damage tokens on them. If the damage is ever equal to or exceeds the shield amount, they are broken, and they would just be flipped over. When you do attacks, you're going to look to see if this triggers anything. Right now, this one doesn't, but this is when attached Scrapbot attacks, gaining energy. So if I attacked with this one, I'd give myself an energy. And then you'll also notice this trigger is that when this one breaks, you and your rival each gain 2 scrap. So after you choose to attack or not to attack, you then go into the recycle phase. Every card in your hand will get discarded and will give you 1 scrap for each. So in this instance, I'd get 2. If you had any broken cards in your lanes, those would all get discarded and you would get a scrap for each card discarded that way. and that is the recycle phase. You would then move into the market phase to where you'd spend your scrap to buy cards. The cost is depicted in this upper right corner. When you buy them, so say I spend 2, it goes directly into your hand. When you're done buying, you will refill the market. And then you'll go in your draw phase where you will draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. So, malfunction cards. The way you get these is if when a Scrapbot attacks, there's not a Scrapbot there, you will put one of these malfunction cards into your opponent's discard pile for every damage dealt to them. When you draw these in that draw phase, so say this was my hand, you will then discard all of these malfunction cards and draw 2 cards for each one you discard. You only do that once, however, so if by discarding that you draw more malfunction cards, they just stay in your hand. They, however, can later on be converted for 1 energy, or when you discard them, they will be a scrap. You're going to go back and forth until the malfunction deck is empty. If the malfunction deck is empty and you do additional damage to your opponent, have them keep track of that, because it's whoever has the fewest malfunction cards in their deck wins the game. If there's a tie, whoever dealt the last malfunction will win. There is one card that I do want to go over. There is this drain kit. There's like a whole set starting with a 2, a 3, and a 4. It's, I believe, chip, kit, and then set. So it's chip, kit, set. So when it says drain, it's break any ally, then break an enemy in a lane adjacent to attached Scrapbot. What this would mean is if this was attached to my fortress right here, I would break an ally robot or Scrapbot, and then I could then break an enemy either directly across or to either side of that robot. So that is a basic how to play Scrapbots. There are a few other terms and rules that you can find in the rulebook. But let's move on to my thoughts. Alright, so there you go. There is a brief tutorial on how to play Scrapbots. I'll start showing you the cards here. Again, reminder, this is a prototype version, so not all of the art is done or finalized. So what are our thoughts on it? So first off, I'll say this is a bit of a slower deck builder and maybe like a slightly different strategy you have to go in, because as you're getting these Scrapbots, you're leaving them out in front of you. As you're getting this gear, you're leaving some of it out in front of you. Or the gadgets. You're leaving some of it out in front of you. So you're not necessarily going to be cycling those cards as quick as you do in other deck builders. So it kind of gives you that pause of like, all right, so I could buy that card for its ability, but do I want to buy it instead for its energy? Like for all the gadgets, as you spend more on them, they give you more energy, which lets you attack for more damage. So do I focus more for the energy, or do I focus more for the power? And then when to possibly upgrade stuff in front of you. So it's kind of got a different strategic element that you would normally see in deck building games. The other thing that's different is those malfunction cards that typically, when you get damaged and you have to put the wounds or whatever in a deck, it normally just, all it does is clogs you up. There's nothing to do with it. It literally just takes a place in your hand. These malfunction cards, you kind of want to get a couple of them because they can help you get a bigger hand. A bigger hand can allow you to have more energy or more scrap to buy stuff. Because as I said in the instructional, when you have them in the draw phase, you can discard them to draw 2 cards. So now you end up drawing an extra card per malfunction card. Or, I mean, they're still able to be used for energy. They're still able to be used for scrap. So it's not like they're a full-on hand clogger. Yeah, you might want some of your better cards to come through, but this at least serves a purpose. It's almost like adding in an extra starter card where, yeah, it's okay. It does what you need it to do basically, but you would want something better. But again, they do help you because if you are able to draw them, then you can draw extra cards. Or there are certain cards that if you discard some of these malfunction cards, they improve them. So it's that really cool thing where even though you're taking damage, it doesn't feel as much of a hindrance as it could in other games, which I think we really enjoyed. And then there's a whole different strategy elements you can go on. And when we played, I had a bunch of ones where I was just dinking her, like 1-2 points here and there, so she was taking some malfunction. Well, she got a couple of big ones out and was able to hit me, so she ended up winning because we tied, but she dealt the last malfunction, so she thought that I was just going to cream her, but then it's like, well, no, you did like 8 damage with that guy, you did 3 damage with that guy, so you can go either heavy hitters, dink and dunk if you want. So there are those different strategy levels there. Also, what I like is, so you have your Scrapbots that have these powers, but then the gadgets you get also have those powers. So it kind of helps streamline play, because in, again, a lot of deck builders, all the cards do so many different things. You're always constantly there reading it and trying to figure out what it is. This one, if you know what the Drain Bot does, you know what the Drain Chip does. And the only difference is the Drain Bot gets more powerful, is its shields go up, or its damage goes up. The Drain Kit, as that gets more powerful, it gives you more energy if you convert it. So it makes it a much more strategic game as opposed to some of the other deck builders where it's like, oh, well, that's obviously the best card, I'm just going to take the best card. This one, no, you really have to kind of think through your strategy of, hey, maybe I'm going to double up on these cards, that way I can trigger the ability twice. Like I had, I think it was the Piercing Robot and the Piercing Kit. So what happened was every time I broke a Scrapbot, she would take 2 malfunctions. So kind of beefing up that one. And then, of course, because you put a red on a red, you triggered its ability, which is always pretty cool. So there's that really cool synergy of, do you want to go all in one color and focus on that, or do you want to grab a different color and then grab the cool thing from this color, put them together, and try and find a cool thing there? Yeah, you don't get the bonus for color, but it might make your Scrapbot better in the long run. So that is my thoughts on Scrapbots. I will have a link to the campaign down below. I will also mention this is part of Microgames May. So if you search the hashtag Microgames May, you can find this and many other games that are these small, compact, portable, somewhat travelable games on Kickstarter or other crowdfunding platforms. If you could also, while you're down checking out that link, go ahead and please like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell for this video and this channel to be alerted as we do more content for you, the viewers. And if you don't want to just view me and just listen to me, you can go and look where podcasts are found and search for Musings of the Mick, which is me talking about my musings where I review games and come up with a topic for each one. All right, until next time, look at that scrap.